This was unexpected. You may have noticed a hiccup in the weekly draft recaps. The gap week before my week 8 match was supposed to be for week 7, but I forgot to record that. So I tried to record it before the day arrived, but the replays are gone. Yeah, all the replays on Showdown from the last 3 years have been deleted. I think one of the runners of Showdown, it was their fault. I still tried to hold out and hoping that the replays get recovered, but it's past Christmas already and the replays are still snapped. So what we're gonna do is wrap up Legends Alliance the same way we recapped the kickoff tour. Just gonna speed run through the rest of the matchups while pointing out stuff I found interesting. So let's go to week 7. Their draft was giving me UU vibes, except for that Annihilate. I actually had Psych Up Meloetta here. Let's see, where is it? Pump. My opponent was Pump. I had Psych Up Meloetta right here to kind of wall Annihilate and keep up with Latias. But in the end, it was just the Terra Water Banded Jet Punch that did all the heavy lifting. Surprisingly, it OHKO'd a Terra Ice Mamoswine at 94%. I would have lost 3-0 if it weren't for that. And because Palafin was my last Mon, and it was in range of Ice Shard. And speaking of which, Ice Shard still would have gone first too, because the Mamoswine was Scarfed. So that means he didn't run Ice Shard on his set. In fact, maybe he didn't have priority because 4 of his dudes were all Scarfed. There was a Scarf Mamoswine, a Scarf Annihilate, a Scarf Heatran, and a Scarf Rotom. So that was pretty crazy. And the guy was also, he lost all of his matches. So I almost broke his lose streak. That would have been sad. But we continue. Now on to quarterfinals. As you can see, this was a rematch from my week 1. Swaggy did make a few changes to his team. Most notably, he now has a hazard setter that can threaten Hat. I barely changed my team, as you will see, but I do want to take note that Infernape finally did what he was set out to do, which was tank an emergency +1 Psychic from Volcarona. There was a big choke from Swaggy though. It was once again Zalt versus Gourgeist. I was probably gonna die to Fire Blast, so I just went for Poltergeist, banking on the miss. But instead, the Zalt goes for a greedy sub, which breaks, and now it's in range of Jet Punch. And that's how I won. This match also taught me that Dracovish gets Sand Rush. I thought it only had Strong Jaw as an ability. I never knew it got Sand Rush. So that's a good piece of info to keep for the future, I guess. Now for semifinals. Semifinals, we are fighting a pretty dangerous team. It was a lot of hyper offense, backed up by Psychic Terrain. I kind of overcooked with my Infernape set. Here, you can see it. Where's my semifinals? Here. Look at this Infernape set. So, I had a really long explanation for the original video, but now I've scrapped it since I can't have the replay to explain it further, but this was the general idea. My team was supposed to look helpless versus the Slush Rush Terra Water Titan. So Ape will come in, Mirror Herb the Belly Drum, and then Fake Out plus Mach Punch will beat the Titan, as long as it stays out of Psychic terrain. I'm also aware of the defense boosts the Titan gets from Snow, but Fake Out plus Mach Punch is still enough. I am also aware that it can Terra Water to dodge the fighting weakness, but Mach Punch will still be enough because once it Terra Waters, it loses its defense boost from the Snow. So, yeah. Of course, this whole plan doesn't work if there's Psychic terrain, but I was confident he couldn't keep up both Snow and terrain forever. Infernape can also just sweep from there because lots of his guys are just not suited for Mach Punch spam. And those that are, I have a Thunder Punch. And also that Hydreigon, its Terras were Dark and Steel, so no matter what it did, it was always weak to Mach Punch. And it was not saved by the terrain because it has Levitate. So in case Infernape does go to waste, I still have a nice Mach Punch for Hydreigon. Of course, when the actual battle did come, Titan never came. So Infernape actually did nothing. But my Guzzlord, it was kind of going crazy. Here's the specially defensive Guzzlord. He Paraflinched Indeedee to death. He Draco killed the Hydreigon. And he Draco killed the Rotom. It also took nothing from the Colossal. So in fact, Guzz was doing so much work that I decided to preserve it before winning, just to improve its stats on the scoreboard. And now, finally, with that semifinals out of the way, we have finals. Where is it? Oh, right here. We have finals. Asante. With the good old-fashioned Skarm Blizzcore. Of course, it's a Chansey now. Luckily, I had the Mon that was notorious for countering Skarm Bliss, which was Infernape. Ape also had Solar Beam to deal with all those grass weak Mons that he had. Like Dondozo, Gastro, Shocks. I had Guzzlord again. Eevee to live a +2 Life Orb Venusaur. I had Scarf Kilowattrel as a bailout on Venusaur and a +1 Moon. And Silvally is finally running the Fairy Memory as a fully Fizz-Def Fairy. This will counter all of the physical Protomons. And once the final match happened, it went crazy in the wrong way. So you see, there were no Solar Beam weak Mons. There were none of that. And when Torkoal came out, it didn't have Drought. So, I was open to them restarting, but I wasn't going to suggest it unless they ask for it. Then yeah, of course I'll accept it and we can do a retry with Drought. But my opponent did the honorable thing and just played anyway with a, White Smoke Torkoal. Now, I had a whole in-depth analysis to explain if Drought mattered or not, but without the battle to watch, there's no point in explaining. So I'll just say that Droughtless Torkoal actually didn't matter unless he preserved Torkoal the instant it came out. Then it would have came down to how we play our Scarf mods. Because, yeah, the Slitherwing was Scarf. I can go a little more in detail. The Torkoal died right away. Maybe it's because it had the wrong ability, so he didn't need it. But even so, once the Torkoal died, there was the Venusaur. It still did its shenanigans, but Guzzlord walled it. And that's all I will say. It's hard to explain it because I don't have the battle. I did choke at the end of the match though. There was only Slitherwing and Roaring Moon left, and Slither was locked into CC since it just killed my Infernape. I had Silvally, Glimmora, and Kilowattrel left, but instead of going to Silvally and just winning right there with a double multi-attack, I go to Glimmora to get some Toxic Spikes up. With my ability, of course. This pretty much made Slither switch to Moon. Moon had a chance to set up, but it didn't. It also had a chance to Iron Flinch Silvally to death, which thankfully it didn't. And from there, Silvally won me the whole game with a double multi-attack. So yeah, we did it. Our second draft league win. This was very scuffed. I'm sorry, I have no control over if the replays get Thanos-snapped or not. Unexpected stuff happens like that, you know? But I will say that my draft was very fun to use. I always felt like for DDL Season 3, where I got my first Gen 9 Draft League win, I always felt like I was building too defensively just to make sure I don't get overrun by stuff. But in here, I was pretty aggressive with my builds, and even my defensive mons were capable of packing a punch, such as my Spadef Guzzlord and my Moonblast Gourgeist. Alright, let me pull up the final stats. Okay, so here is the final stats of my draft, and as you can see, Palafin's MV status is bigger than any mon I have ever drafted. I guess having a draft that accents Palafin's three main gimmicks, which is switching, priority, and form changing, it allows it to shine twice as better. But we can't ignore the rest of my team because Palafin was not in the finals after all. Sadly, Guzzlord is pretty low over here, but that's because these stats, they don't count playoffs. If they did, then Guzzlord would probably be in the top 3. Yeah, it would probably be 3rd place or something. But now, I'm not sure if I'm going to be uploading some more draft recaps. Not because I want to end on a high note, but because I'm starting to feel the burnout. I've been getting busier lately, so I'm getting less time to just spew my thoughts here. I might do a vid on the stats of all the mons I've drafted, but we'll see how it plays out. So yeah, there are 2 draft leagues I've done, but haven't covered yet. So that's why I'm saying I might not cover it at all. But yeah, we'll see how it goes next week.